It's been a little while since we've talked about Wargaming and how they have been managing their game, and I wanted to talk about it again because I feel like there are some changes and a bit of a shift in the way Wargaming is communicating and conducting themselves in regards to the community. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about the choose the look of a new map. So we're getting a new map here soon. Obviously, it'll be early in development since the look hasn't even been decided yet. But it's really cool to get the player base's opinion on this, and I think it shows that Wargaming does care what the players want and what they're thinking about. I hope that it'll end up being a good map, we'll see. But it is a bit of a step in the right direction, something to show that they are beginning to care a little bit about the players. Next thing to talk about that I noticed is the World of Warships anniversary event. I'll be honest, this went far different than I thought it would go. I was assuming based on the summer sale, as we all know, it was just a bit of a ploy to get you to spend money on some RNG Lootbox crates that had some misleading information on how they worked. It wasn't really even a sale at all either, because nothing that we already had on offer went at a lower price. It was just new stuff that they somehow marked down before we ever saw the listed price. It's a weird kind of tactic to get you to buy stuff. And I assumed that the anniversary event would go in much the same way. However, turns out I was completely wrong. And they're giving you these crates for just playing the game. Get 300 base XP in any match you play. You get a super container at tier 10 and other containers as you go down the line. Really, really cool. And by the looks of things, people have been getting a lot of good stuff out of these super containers, whether it be flags, coal, camos, ships, steel, doubloons, premium time, all that stuff. It is a gift, all of those things. So really, really cool to see not really any gotcha mechanics here. Just, hey, thanks for playing our game. Here's some rewards for playing our game. I think that is so cool and is a shift in the way Wargaming has been conducting themselves as of late. So very, very good things to see. Next, I want to look at the update revolving around super battleships again, or super ships on the horizon. It seems like ranked is pretty much going to be the testing environment for anything new coming into the game. That is a bit of a weird choice, I will say. It's odd that we've tested subs in ranked now, and then next patch, it seems like, in ranked, we're going to have super ships, so those super battleships are coming back, as well as apparently some French and American cruisers, Japanese and Soviet destroyers with their own type of adjustment of fire mechanic getting involved in that. And at the very, very end of this blog post that they wrote, I think is very, very important. This is why I want to bring this one up. Graphical improvements. They're currently working on improving the visuals of World of Warships, which personally I think are definitely needed. This game doesn't look that great anymore when you compare it to anything released in the last couple of years, especially. And it's really nice to see that they haven't forgotten about this and that they're actually putting some effort into the look and style of their game. Perhaps this is why we haven't seen a new map in so long, or maybe new game modes. Maybe they have pushed a lot of their development time into just overhauling stuff that's currently in the game. So far, it seems to be dedicated to just the maps, environment, and the ocean, which is good. Love to see some of the older ship models be updated as well, but it is nice to see that a couple maps are going to get some massive redesigns. We're going to get some new effects on the islands, and of course, better looking water that interacts a little more realistically with your ship. I think that's really, really cool to see, and hopefully it does make the game look a little bit better. Something I've always found odd is that when I play the console version, World of Warships Legends, the render distance is so much further, to the point where the game actually looks pretty good on console, surprisingly, where islands are actually covered in trees when they're supposed to be covered in trees. And in the PC game, it seems like outside of 9 to 11 kilometers, all the trees just disappear. And then you get these bare, really ugly looking low poly islands that I've always found odd that that's the choice they went with. So hopefully we'll see a little bit better visuals there. Obviously gameplay comes before visuals, but if we got something nice to look at, that's always a little bonus, right? So hopefully that goes through well. It seems like they're working on Two Brothers and Hotspot as the first maps, and the Philippines port. So that'll be really interesting to see in the future. The biggest change for me personally is their dev blog on the clan battles season. And I think I've been pretty vocal about this, but if you didn't know, I'm not taking part in this clan battle season for a variety of reasons, but the main reason is that I have no interest in 2CV clan battles 7v7 at tier 6. That sounds like a terrible time to me, and for that, I am not playing it. And tier 6 in general just doesn't seem like the most competitive tier to me as well. But what's really, really, really cool is Wargaming published some of the reasons for their decisions. Why they banned certain ships, why they did some of the allowances on CVs the way they did. I don't know if I believe all of the things they said. You should definitely go give it a look if you care. But what matters to me is that they are giving us some information about why they made the decisions they did. They're not treating the player base like a bunch of idiots who can't handle some of that inside look at the decision making. I think it's really, really cool that they are giving the player base a bit of respect and showing them some of the statistics on popularity versus win rate, and then maybe some of the upper level, high level reasons that they decide the things they do. Obviously, they're not going to tell us everything, but well, any little bit of information was more than we got in the past, 13 seasons, considering this is 14th season. We've had 13 seasons of clan battles and essentially no information on why the meta is the way it is and the decisions they're making. So very cool to see that changing. This is all just adding up, little by little, showing that they are looking to do better. Now, not everything is perfect there. Unfortunately, I do have to mention these new Pan-Asian cruisers. For me personally, this is just going to make the game more passive. Smoke cruisers with really small caliber guns that fire quickly with HE. I will have to mention that being in the Pan-Asian line, they get Pan-Asian smokes, which means that they have the best smokes in the game. The downtime between the old smoke ending and the new one coming up is very, very short, so you're going to have a lot of time in smokes that can just move around the map very, very quickly. It's pretty rough to fight against some ships that are smoked up by a Yu Yang at tier 10, and these ships will just get it on their own. Also, they have powerful deep water torpedoes, so I don't know what that means, but the tier 10 appears to have 10 torps on each side, deep waters. So again, that is just telling me that we're going to get more passive games where, I mean, you're never going to want to ever push into these things. Assuming they have low-ish range, you're just never going to push in, which is keeping with the way the game has been designed since pretty much the start. So fair enough, I guess. Maybe it's just wishful thinking for me to think that this game will eventually get to a point where people will push back in, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think the reason things were more pushing focused earlier on in the game is people just didn't know how to play the game as well and weren't as harshly punished because people just weren't as good back in the day. I think that's the reason. Something I'm just going to have to personally get over and just play the game how it is and accept that. Finally, we should end this video on a good change. Here is something that's really, really good about the submarines. Not that submarines are being added, personally I'd prefer they wouldn't, but they are adding anti-submarine warfare armament to every battleship and cruiser. This, I think, had to happen if subs were going to be remotely okay in the main game. You had situations where you'd take a battleship or a cruiser into the game and you'd have no way of dealing with a submarine that was under the water. Yeah, you could shoot them with your guns when they're above water, but given the way submarines work, they're going to be below water a lot of the time when they're in any form of danger. So adding back the depth charges to every one of these ships, I think is a really, really good change. And we'll see how the balance goes on that. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of depth charges or airstrike depth charges on battleships. I think it's a pretty lame way of fighting a ship. I always enjoyed this game because of the ship-to-ship combat, guns shooting at each other, torpedoes that aren't homing, let's be clear, but torpedoes getting shot from stealth, and having to deal with that added layers and depth to the game that was really cool, but it didn't feel very unfair. And it was fun, I think is the best way to put it. Clicking on the ocean and hoping that these depth charges just hit and do damage, that's not a very satisfying way of dealing damage in my opinion. And that's one of the main reasons I don't want submarines in the game. And the other reason is, of course, it's going to make the game more passive. The last thing about this that I should mention, it's not all perfect. Some of the premium battleships are getting shafted a little bit, where let's say at tier 10, your battleship gets 11-kilometer range on its anti-submarine warfare. Well, your Thunder and your Ohio only get 6-kilometer range. So that's not looking so good. And at tier 9, we look at ships like Musashi Jean Bart and Massachusetts. Sorry, tier 8 and 9. Those ships are only getting 5-kilometer depth charge range. Julio Cesar at tier 5 only gets 4 kilometers. Yeah, some of these premium ships are getting significantly nerfed after the fact, even after they were taken out of the game. It's going to be so crucial that you do have that longer range submarine depth charge anti-submarine warfare capability, and it's just going to make these ships worse, which, you know, for things like Thunder and it's a good thing they get nerfed, but I would rather see them change the way the ship plays, right? Nerfing the HE, maybe the concealment, maneuverability, that sort of thing, instead of making them extremely weak against one specific class that is sometimes going to be in the game, and then still leave it just disgustingly strong against everything else. I don't think that's an amazing way to balance the game. But, you know, not everything can be perfect. So I'm going to end this on a positive note and say that it does appear that Wargaming is changing for the better. It seems like they're listening to the community more and putting an effort in to providing information and making the game a better place for the people playing it. So I just wanted to update you on that. That is my outlook at the moment. I'm not saying Wargaming's perfect. I'm not saying that it's fine the way they're operating some of their loot boxes. I would love to see some changes there still, but at least in the way that they're communicating and I'm not going to say balancing, but updating visuals and providing us with more information on some of the clan battle balance decisions and ship bans, that kind of thing. I think it's really cool and very positive, and I would love to see that continue and expand into some of these other areas that historically haven't been too amazing. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I don't have very strong opinions on this as of yet, but this is just kind of my thoughts on the way things are going. Let me know what you think. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.